Hey, rock stars, are you ready to master the art of business development and finally achieve the results you've been chasing? Hi, I'm Kelly Kennedy, host of the Business Development Podcast, and I want to invite you to the Business Development Mastery Program, a transformative journey designed to help you level up, stand out, and succeed. This program goes beyond the basics. You'll learn how to craft marketing materials that sell, create ideal customer profiles, and build target lists that deliver results. But that's just the start. You'll also discover the secrets to personal branding so that you're not just another voice in the crowd, and learn how to use social media strategies to position yourself as a trusted expert in your field. It's about building relationships, driving action, and achieving measurable growth. The truth is, business development isn't guesswork, it's a system, and I'll show you how to make it work for you. Let's get started. Book your discovery call now at capitalbd.ca or connect with me directly on LinkedIn and send me a DM. Your next big win is waiting. Welcome to episode 205 of the Business Development Podcast. And today's show is all about personal branding. What is it, why you need it, and why it is absolutely going to change your life in 2025 and beyond. Stick with us. This is an episode you are not going to want to miss.
The great Mark Cuban once said, "Business happens over years and years. Value is measured in the total upside of a business relationship, not by how much you squeezed out in any one deal." And we couldn't agree more. This is the Business Development Podcast, based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and broadcasting to the world. You'll get expert business development advice, tips and experiences, and you'll hear interviews with business owners, CEOs, and business development reps. You'll get actionable advice on how to grow business. Brought to you by Capital Business Development, capitalbd.ca. Let's do it. Welcome to the Business Development Podcast. And now your expert host, Kelly Kennedy.
Hello, welcome to episode 205 of the Business Development Podcast. Today, I want to chat all about personal brands. Yes, today is the day. We've been getting lots of questions about it. I was actually just on a podcast not that long ago chatting about building a personal brand. And so it just seemed fitting. It seemed like the right thing to talk about. It really was the theme of 2024. And as we head into 2025, it is just as important, and it will continue to get more important over time. And so today we are going to define it. What is it? Why do you need it? Why is it important in business development? And how can you start building one today? There is no doubt about it. 2023 was the year of AI, and 2024 was the year of personal branding. And I predict that 2025 will be the year of human-centric approach, a gigantic flip away from AI and robots back to the need of genuine human connection. I genuinely think, guys, that if you spend the time this year to put yourself out there in an authentic way, it is going to pay off for you in leaps and bounds and dividends. Personal branding plays a very big role in that for those of us that are brave enough to take that leap. What is your personal brand? According to Harvard Business School, personal branding is the intentional, strategic practice of defining and expressing your value. It is the amalgamation of the associations, beliefs, feelings, attitudes, expectations that people collectively hold about you. Personal branding's goal is to ensure the narrative about you is accurate, coherent, compelling, and differentiated. If you don't intentionally craft your personal brand, other people's assumptions and perceptions of you may not align with those four attributes. And by engaging in personal branding, you can define what you would like to communicate and do so effectively. Guys, I hadn't even really heard of the idea of personal branding, until I launched the Business Development Podcast. And believe it or not, as silly as this may sound, I wasn't even thinking about personal branding when I launched the Business Development Podcast. When I launched this show, guys, back in early 2023, I had just recognized a gigantic gap in the business development space for educational content. And I recognized that I had the skill set, I had the expertise, and I could share my knowledge with the world through a podcast. It wasn't until, deep into my business development podcasting that I realized that what I was actually crafting as well was my personal brand and how it associated with the business development industry as a whole. And obviously, great things started to happen when I was willing to put myself out there. Guys, the Business Development Podcast has afforded me access to people I would have never met had I not taken the leap and started this show. It's given me opportunities I would not have seen had I not put myself out there and started this show. I've gotten coaching out of it. I've gotten incredible retainer contracts out of it. I've gotten sponsorship opportunities out of it. And frankly, I'm incredibly well known now in the business development space, which has been an amazing, amazing benefit of being willing to put myself out there. And I didn't recognize it at the time, but what I was doing was building my personal brand, which has continued to get bigger and bigger and bigger as I continue to put myself out there on social media through, avenues such as video now as well. So it's a learning experience for me. I'm by no means the expert in personal branding. I have interviewed some incredible experts on personal branding, though. I would highly recommend that you guys check out Nat Berman, that you check out Marcus Chan, and in an upcoming episode, Amelia Sardell, because they are really killing it in that personal branding space. But I know enough to be dangerous. I've done a few things in this space. And so hopefully today I will be able to share some knowledge with you guys to help you start your personal branding journeys. So why do I think that personal branding is important for professionals in 2025? In an increasingly competitive world, your personal brand sets you apart. Guys, you know this. If you're in business development and sales, there's a lot of experts in your field. There's a lot of people out there doing incredible things, and it's very easy to get lost in the noise if we aren't willing to speak up and show that we know what we are doing, that we know what we're talking about, that we can help people. In 2025 and beyond, in a digital world where you're competing against a massive amount of people, you have to be willing to put yourself out there, to showcase your expertise, to stand out in an ever increasingly larger crowd. And so we have to focus on building our personal brands in order to keep competitive in a time and industry where there are increasingly larger and larger numbers of people in the sales and business development spaces. We need to build trust and authenticity with our clients, with our peers, with our future customers, okay? Trust and authenticity is created by sharing who you are with the world in an authentic way, in a real way. The more that we can do this, the better off we are going to be as professionals in 2025. We need to create visibility in competitive markets. Guys, if you're not willing to put yourself out there, you might as well be invisible. And we need to be as visible as humanly possible to as many people as possible when we are in business, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a founder, whether you're a business development specialist, whether you're a sales professional. You are always better off when people know who you are and you have a great brand associated with you. We need it for career growth and better opportunities. Even if we're employees, guys, even if we are employees, we need to be working on our personal brands. Why? Because the more well-known you are, the more valuable you are to your organization, the more eyes you can bring to your products and services, the more people are willing to trust you and give you a shot when you reach out to them. If people find you and you have no history, no one knows who you are, what you're doing, it makes it a lot harder because now you have to build that trust from nothing. With a personal brand, it gives you a leg up in the trust building phase. Networking and influence. The more well-known you are, the more people want to know you. It's kind of like that weird thing where when you have a whole lot of money, it's easier to make more money. When you have a whole lot of personal brand, it's a lot easier to make great connections. Let's take it back to the podcast. I've been able to meet people that there is absolutely no question I would have not been able to meet them without building my personal brand through the podcast, through my social media, through my experience with opportunities that I got because I was willing to put myself out there, guys. Opportunities present themselves to people who are willing to put themselves out there and take the risk. So There are just opportunities that are going to come your way if you are willing to put yourself out there that you just would not experience otherwise. And last but not least, you take it with you everywhere. No matter what you do, if you spend time building your personal brand, it follows you from career to career, from business to business, from place to place, okay? Your personal brand, it's yours. You own it. It's yours wherever you go for as long as you like. And so it's important that we are working on ourselves and not just our businesses. They are not one in the same. For a long time, I used to think that personal branding or stuff that you do on your own, it was optional. You really didn't need to work on your personal brand outside of your business. If you were a business development specialist for XYZ company, that's all you ever needed to be. And you didn't need to work on yourself. You didn't need to have a social media strategy. You didn't need to do any of that. And for the longest time, I believed that. Why? Because for the longest time in business development, guys, it really wasn't required. I'm not going to say that I wouldn't have done better had I spent time working on it. I probably would have, but I didn't recognize it at the time. But guys, things have changed. Since COVID, things have absolutely flipped on their heads. And a personal brand, an online reputation, the way that you present to the world has never, ever been more important. When people meet you in a meeting, almost guaranteed the next thing that they're doing is they're hopping on LinkedIn and they're learning about you. And if they were smart, they actually did that ahead of the meeting. So most people are trying to figure out as much information as they can find about you ahead of meeting you, ahead of doing business with you. Why? Because it's available. We live in a time where your information is simply available online. And so if it's going to be available, you have to make sure that you control the narrative. And the way that you control the narrative on your information is by working on your personal brand and putting as much information out there as humanly possible. I no longer think that personal branding is optional in business development, guys. I don't. I believe this so strongly, I actually include it as a pillar in my business development mastery program. Absolutely. I don't think at this point, guys, that in business development, you're going to be successful long-term if you aren't willing to build your personal brand, if you aren't willing to leverage your expertise, if you aren't willing to put yourself out there in the world as an expert, as someone who knows what they're talking about and is willing to share that information with the world. It is going to put you at a disadvantage, okay? There's just going to be too many people who are willing to take that step, who are willing to put themselves out there, who are willing to share their information and knowledge with the world and situate themselves as experts, as true experts in their fields, that if you are not willing to do this, it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next year, but at some point, you're going to have a really, really hard time continuing in the career on the trajectory that you want to go. Here's why I think that, guys. Number one, differentiation. You must differentiate yourself in a competitive market, okay? A personal brand and expertise and history helps others take you more seriously. If you situate yourself as an expert in a field, guys, you will be treated as an expert in that field as long as you are congruent with that. If you're putting out information that showcases your expertise, that shows you actually know what you're talking about, that shows a track record of success, you will be treated as such. And that is absolutely critical as we move forward here in 2025. Number two, you are going to get better opportunities and be better situated for negotiations, okay? People prefer to work with those they perceive as more credible and successful. Guys, if you're willing to put yourself out there, you're going to show your successes, you're going to show you know what you're doing, it's going to put you in a better situation to negotiate in the future on different contracts or different job opportunities. And it's going to make people more willing to work with you. Why? Because people want to work with the best. They want to work with people who know what they are doing and who are leaders in their field. Building your personal brand, showcasing your skills, positions you as a leader in your field. Number three, business development and business in general is a relationship-centric industry. Trust, personal connection, and credibility are key to your long-term success, guys. People have to trust you. People will not buy from people they do not trust. People don't want to work with people who are not credible. People want to feel safe in their decisions. And having a personal brand and reputation that is positive helps people make that decision to work with you. Number 4, global expansion and digital reach are becoming increasingly important. Being able to make connections outside of your immediate sphere is increasingly important, and your brand helps you do that. Why? Because if you have a brand reputation and a digital presences, guys, are not simply part of your location. It almost doesn't matter what country you're in. I connect with people around the world about my business development expertise. I have people reaching out to me from Japan, from Africa, from Asia, from Australia, from England, from around the world all the time, who are finding my information, finding it relevant, and recognizing that I am a leader in the business development space because I'm willing to put myself out there and share this knowledge with the world. You can have that impact as well. And the cool thing about that is that with things like coaching or other types of training, these are relevant around the world. We are no longer living in a who you know world, people. We are now living and transitioning into a world of are you discoverable and who knows you? Your future success in business development, in business, in entrepreneurship relies on your ability to not just leverage the people you know, but also make yourself available to be found so that people can find you and reach out to you. In this modern world, you need to make sure that you are discoverable and that you are putting out information that people are going to care about. Number 5, adaptability. Business development trends, tools, and landscape are evolving, and personal brands help you make that adjustment and stay relevant, okay? If you guys know, I'm constantly on social media. I'm constantly working to upgrade my skills. I've made a commitment this year to video and learning how to do video and learning how to do better video because, when I started the Business Development Podcast, I didn't even understand audio production, guys. I was a business developer. I didn't understand this digital world. I didn't know how to create content. I didn't know how to make audio shows. And I sure as hell didn't know how to make video. But I've worked consistently to learn these skills because I've recognized that they are going to be a massive benefit for my career and for my future and my family's future and my clients' future if I can continue to build this brand, okay? And building a brand means that you're going to have to learn a lot of skills. And guess what? A lot has changed. There was no AI really when I started the Business Development Podcast. It came in pretty heavy midway through the show. And, the personal branding aspect of it and the importance of that really came up in 2024. And so it's been a very big learning curve, but you guys have seen, you've grown with me as we've gone through this show. You've seen my audio production get better and better and better. You've seen my social media posts get better and better and better. You've seen my social media engagement get better and better and better. And now you're seeing my videos getting better and better and better. It's a constant willingness to do better. I know that if I stop learning, that if I stop trying to get better at this show, eventually I'm going to fall flat on my face. If I give up on myself and my skills, it's over. Things are evolving so quickly that the strong are going to survive. The adaptable are going to survive. And so adaptability, a willingness to learn, a willingness to consistently get better and improve is going to be a key in our long-term success. And all of these skills I'm learning, guys, no matter what I do in the future, all of these skills will help me do more incredible things in the future, no matter what I choose to do. So you can't lose by betting on yourself, guys. Betting on yourself is always going to be a win. All right. So you've been listening so far and you're like, I'm in. I totally get it. I want to build my personal brand. But Kelly, I simply don't know where to start. Now, first off, if this is you, it's okay. It's absolutely okay. I know exactly where you're coming from. Like I said, when I started the Business Development Podcast, it hadn't even really occurred to me that doing this would actually build my personal brand. I just thought that I was going to share information with the world and just be able to educate and inspire and kind of step into this podcast space. I didn't realize at the time that it would build my personal brand along with it. And frankly, the reputation that would come along with it would be absolutely incredible. I didn't see that coming, and call it naive, call it whatever. That wasn't my world. I didn't understand it. But as I've gone forward, the benefits of starting this show, sharing this knowledge with the world, only becomes more apparent on a daily basis as more opportunities come my way, as more coaching clients come my way, as more sponsorship opportunities come my way and my ability to continue to reinforce this brand and make it better and continue to leverage it to educate and inspire. You can't see the success coming. You can't see what it'll do for you, but you can start the steps that will lead you to that opportunity where one day you can open your eyes and be like, wow, that was incredible. I can't believe where I'm at today. That's the power of a personal brand. It can be surprising, but it can be incredible, not just for the world, but for you too. I would say that for any one of you who are looking to embark on a personal branding journey, who are looking to take your careers to the next level, your businesses to the next level, yourselves to the next level, it starts with one thing. You have to identify what expertise you have that you can share with the world. What is it that you are absolutely incredible at, that you are so good at, that you could teach the world how to do it? Not just teach the world how to do it, but be the best at it. Be the best at it and be able to teach it to an extremely high level. Now, keep in mind, this is the business development podcast. And so I get it. I'm talking to a lot of professionals right now. But keep in mind, you don't have to build a personal brand on your business. You don't have to build a personal brand based on, your job or your experience with work. You can build your personal brand on anything you want, anything that you are incredible at. And I would highly, highly encourage you to do so. If you have a passion, a hobby, a sport, whatever it is that you are absolutely incredible at, odds are pretty good that if you're an expert at it, you also love it. You also are passionate about it. And that is what you should start building your personal brands around. You don't have to build it on finance. You don't have to build it on entrepreneurship, and you don't have to build it on business development. You can absolutely build it on golf, on YouTube, on podcasting, on anything you like that you are passionate about, that you feel like you're one of the best in the world at, that you feel that you could teach somebody. These are the things to build your personal brand on. Why? Because building a personal brand is not an overnight endeavor. It is a lifelong endeavor. It is lifelong, guys. Your personal brand never stops being built. And so you have to make sure that if you're going to build it on something, that you're incredibly passionate about those things. Me, I'm passionate about business development. I'm also passionate about podcasting, content creation, and helping people achieve great things. For me, I get a lot of thrill out of those particular things. And so it keeps me coming back to this week over week, month over month, year over year. What is your thing? What is your thing that keeps you coming back week over week, month over month, and year over year? Number 2, we have to fight the imposter syndrome. You are enough and you can do this. Look, if you're an expert in something, you have to share that knowledge with the world, guys. You got to stop holding that information to yourself. If you're an expert on something, it means you can teach it. And if you can teach it, you have an obligation to share that knowledge with the world. Guys, we live in this protectionist society, or at least we have for a very long time. Business development is a prime example of this. For whatever reason, in business development for a very long time, we kept all of our cards close to our hearts, all of our relationships, all of our skills, our processes. And for whatever reason, we didn't teach anybody. And so everybody who ended up in business development, basically over the last 50 to 100 years, has had to figure it all out from ground zero. I recognized that and I wasn't okay with it. That is why I launched the Business Development Podcast. The goal from the very beginning has been to educate and inspire the next generation of business development professionals in general, entrepreneurs, and help equip them with the skills that people were not willing to share with them to help them be more successful in their businesses. And I think I've done a pretty great job with that. I think that we have definitely succeeded on that and continue to succeed by educating and inspiring the next generations every single week. What is that for you? What is your thing? What is your knowledge gap, your area of expertise that you could really help the next generation, that you could really help people take it to the next level, avoid the hardship, avoid having to learn things the hard way? Because you know it, in business, learning things the hard way can be the difference between making it and failing horribly. And I want as many people to succeed in business as possible. Why? Because the more people succeed in business, the better the world is going to be for everybody. I really believe that. And so if I can do my little part, I'm going to continue to do it. What is your part? What is your area of expertise? You have to fight yourself, guys. You're your biggest critic. The reason that you don't have a personal brand right now is because you've been too afraid to put yourself out there. It's the truth. You likely have a set of skills that is absolutely in demand, that people absolutely need to learn, that you would be incredible at teaching, but you've been getting in your own way. And I get it. I totally understand. I've been doing this with video forever, right? Like I've really struggled with doing the video thing. Why? Because yeah, of course, I have days where I don't feel good about myself. I have days where I don't like the way I look. I have days where I just didn't want to do that. I didn't have the skills to do it at the level I wanted to do it at. But understand this. Nobody starts with the skills to do things epically great in the beginning. Most people have a gigantic learning curve, and I was no different. But guys, this podcast has come out, and it sounds pretty incredible now, but it took a lot of learning. And I've been editing and producing this show since day one, and I've gotten better every single month. Every single month I've produced this show, I've learned something new. I've implemented it, and the audio to this show gets better and better and better all the time. It will be the same with me in video. Absolutely. Mark my words. The time will come that my videos will be just as epic as the sound on this podcast. But I'm going to have my growing pains. I'm going to have my moments from like, oh shit, I should have known that, or I should have done this better. But I'm not going to let that hold me back. I'm going to continue to grow my personal brand. I'm going to continue to challenge myself to do things I've never done before. And I'm going to learn along the way. And you can too. You just have to get out of your own way. You absolutely can do this. You are your biggest hurdle. And that's going to lead us into number 3. Recognize that your fears are very unlikely to manifest, okay? We make everything worse in our heads. I think most of us are afraid to put ourselves out there because we're afraid of being called out. We're afraid that someone's going to, call us out for something we say or something we accidentally say. Guys, I get it. We live in a crazy time where you can be called out for just about anything. But understand, I think it's a lot rarer than you think. I think, you might see it on TV. You might see people get called out and things go really poorly for them. But I think in the real world, it's much less common. Well, what do I mean by that? 200 episodes of the Business Development Podcast. I've gotten negative feedback twice. Okay. One person didn't like a guest that I had and the company that they worked for. Whatever. That's their own opinion. That's fine. Another person mentioned that my intros were a bit too long. And so I made corrections and here we are today. But that's it, guys. 200 episodes, nearly 2 years of the Business Development Podcast. I've had 2 negative comments. Neither were that bad. And we're still trucking along. And you know what? For those 2 negative comments, I have had hundreds, if not thousands, of positive comments thanking me for the work we do here. Trust me, you are far more likely to be okay. Trust me on this. You are far more likely to be okay. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to share your knowledge with the world. You are enough. You have the expertise. And someone needs to learn it from you. Number 4, recognize you can learn any skill. Just because you don't currently know show production, video production, audio editing, does not mean that you won't be able to do it epically in 1 year. Understand that. Like I said, I started this show not understanding show production, not understanding podcasting at all, not understanding audio editing. And here we are, 2 years later. My podcast sounds excellent. The skills developed. You will learn. Trust me, if you don't have the knowledge now, it doesn't matter. You absolutely can and will learn the knowledge to do these things in the future. Anything you need to learn can be learned. And trust me, you can learn it a lot faster than you think. Number 5, you have to share authentically and be real. Don't be afraid to have your opinion, okay? Don't be afraid to share it the way that you would share it. I said from the very beginning, my very first intro episode of the Business Development Podcast, that I was going to be real with you, that I was going to tell it how it is, that I was going to teach it how it is, no fluff, no bullshit. And I have kept to that for the entire show. And guys, nothing bad has happened from it. Actually, my personal brand has grown exceptionally by being authentic, by creating trust, by being somebody that is trustworthy, and by sharing my knowledge with the world and hopefully making the world a better place. You absolutely can be yourself when building your personal brand. And not only can you be, you absolutely should be, because you know what? Life is better when you can be yourself, and being authentic has the added benefit of building trust and helping you find your people out there in the world, the people you resonate with, and the people who are going to love you for who you are. Number 6, invest in continuous growth and get better all the time. So I talked about it earlier. I am doubling down on video this year. I'm going to try and put out as much video content as I can. And every day I still struggle with it. So let me tell you right now, I am still struggling with putting myself on video. I'm doing better with it. I'm working on it. I still, when I sit down in front of a camera, feel out of place. I still struggle with that. But you know what? I am willing to grow because I know that for me, doing video is going to be my next evolution, the thing that will help me grow the most in 2025. What's the thing that will help you grow the most in 2025? Figure out what that is for you and double down. Get courses, get the programs you need to learn it. If it's Canva and digital editing and creating your own content, work on it every single week. Create new content every single week, and every time do a little bit better. But guess what? You absolutely need to be continuously growing because, guys, the world is changing quicker than ever. Programs are coming out faster than ever. AI is evolving quicker than ever. Everything is changing. And if we aren't willing to learn, if we aren't willing to continually grow and invest in ourselves, we are going to fall behind, and we absolutely cannot afford to do that personally or for our businesses. We have to be investing in ourselves, continuously growing, figuring out how to fill in the gaps and evolve as the world is evolving around us. Number 7, we have to put in the effort, okay? It's not enough to just post here and there. It's not enough to just do the odd audio show or the odd clip, okay? If we are going to participate in our personal brand building, we need to participate. You can't succeed if you're not prioritizing it in your life, in your day-to-day life, okay? What does this mean? This means that we need to commit to a content strategy. If we decide that we are going to put out a podcast, how often are we going to put out this podcast? Are we going to put it out once a week, once every 2 weeks, twice a week, once a day? Whatever you want to commit to, whatever you can commit to. But ultimately, commit to something and stick with it, okay? You cannot succeed if you are not consistent with it. It doesn't matter whether it's your social media posts. It doesn't matter whether it's your podcast. It doesn't matter whether it's your YouTube or your videos. You have to be consistent with it. Commit to a schedule. Commit to a long-term game. 100 episodes is what I always suggest. If you're going to start a podcast, don't start a podcast if you're not willing to do 100 episodes. If you're going to start a YouTube channel, don't even bother unless you're willing to do 100 episodes. Figure out what you're willing to do for the long term, commit to it, commit to learning, commit to getting better, and double down on that this year. Trust me, if you are willing to commit to something like that, you're willing to build authentic human connection and connect in a real way, it is going to pay itself back in dividends over the next year or two for you. And number 8, remember, it is a long game. Personal branding is not overnight. It's not an instant success. It is something that once you start, you are going to have to commit to for your entire career. It is not a one and done thing. It is not a buy once, cry once, okay? It is a long-term commitment to positioning yourself as a thought leader in your industry, okay? You have to commit to it, and you have to be willing to give it the time it's going to take for you to succeed. And guess what? That time is your entire career. You cannot quit on it. You cannot take a break from it. You build your personal brand every single day, every single week, every single month, and yes, every single year. And year over year, you need to make it a priority. Why? Because it is worth it. If you are willing to be a thought leader in your field, it is going to pay itself off in dividends long-term for you. But remember, it's a long-term game. Just aim to do a little more every single day. Aim to get a little better every single day, and always aim to make the world a better place and a more authentic place, and the world will pay you back in dividends. Your biggest critic will always be your inner voice. You deserve to be exceptional. Share your expertise and watch the world open doors for you. Personal branding in 2025 is absolutely absolutely mandatory, guys. I get it. We didn't choose this. I know. I felt that way too at first, but trust me on this. It is absolutely worth it. And the people that are willing to put in the time, the people that are willing to share their expertise with the world, they will be rewarded by the world in dividends. Mark my words. It has never been a better time to start your personal brand. So get to it. Remember, we have community questions open, guys. If you love this episode, if you have questions regarding personal branding, business development, podcasting, I am an open book. Shoot any questions over to podcast@capitalbd.ca or shoot me a message on LinkedIn. Happy to address them for you. If you enjoyed this episode and you want some more help, maybe you're really looking to take your business development to the next level here in 2025, whether you're an entrepreneur, a professional, a business development specialist, business development manager, this program is for you. It is the Business Development Mastery Program with Kelly Kennedy. You can find it on my LinkedIn page and book a free discovery call, or you can learn more about it at capitalbd.ca. And last but not least, please follow us, rate us, recommend us, tell your friends, tell your family, and share this knowledge with the world, guys. That's how this show grows. It is very much through word of mouth, and I greatly appreciate your support. Shout outs this week: Lauren Graff, Marcus Chan, Tyson Hunt, Colin Harms, Tony Gray, Roxanne Kasianchuk, Danielle Sonnenberg, John Pelly, Catherine V, Mirna Alta, Tara Behrens, Gary Noseworthy, Stephen Hood, Ace Qureshi, Cruz Gamboa, Ricardo J. Flores, Nathan Plum, Michelle Sammy Weeb, Jack Dyer, Kathleen Ula, Daniel Monzin, Mo Altaquatqua, Kapil Kalra, Steve Austin, Jeff Ross, Susan Paseka. Until next time, this has been the Business Development Podcast, and we will catch you on the flip side.
This has been the Business Development Podcast with Kelly Kennedy. Kelly has 15 years in sales and business development experience within the Alberta oil and gas industry and founded his own business development firm in 2020. His passion and his specialization is in customer relationship generation and business development. The show is brought to you by Capital Business Development, your business development specialists. For more, we invite you to the website at www.capitalbd.ca. See you next time on the Business Development Podcast.
Hey, rock stars, are you ready to master the art of business development and finally achieve the results you've been chasing? Hi, I'm Kelly Kennedy, host of the Business Development Podcast, and I want to invite you to the Business Development Mastery Program, a transformative journey designed to help you level up, stand out, and succeed. This program goes beyond the basics. You'll learn how to craft marketing materials that sell, create ideal customer profiles, and build target lists that deliver results. But that's just the start. You'll also discover the secrets to personal branding so that you're not just another voice in the crowd, and learn how to use social media strategies to position yourself as a trusted expert in your field. It's about building relationships, driving action, and achieving measurable growth. The truth is, business development isn't guesswork, it's a system, and I'll show you how to make it work for you. Let's get started. Book your discovery call now at capitalbd.ca or connect with me directly on LinkedIn and send me a DM. Your next big win is waiting.